Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Welcome to December Daily Story 19. If you'd like to see what I did, stick around. Hey there, friends. It's Jen with ChappyPlans. So I said if you would like to see what I did in the intro because I thought I was filming this process and I was not. But fortunately, this is only 1/3 of the story that I'm telling. So story 19 is about Christmas presents. I always like to tell the story of what Nora wanted for Christmas, what she got for Christmas, all that kind of stuff. And so I created this page basically as sort of a filler because I knew I wanted 2 full pages next to each other. And this page was next to story 18, which I had just finished. Story 18, if you don't remember, had one of those scalloped frames that I used right in the center of a large photo of wrapping paper. And I wanted to bring over that same scalloped frame, but spell out a word, which was inspired by one of the lessons in, I think it was product play, but I can't remember. So I spelled out joy, and I just used some green papers from the kit and added some of the felt stars that I had in my stash, and basically called it good, other than adding the number 19 on the front. And now I'm working on the rest of the story for this process video, which is I blew up this giant photo of Nora. We celebrate Christmas early in our household every year because we're actually away on Christmas Day, and Nora wants to open presents on Christmas, obviously. So she gets some presents here at home before we leave, like big ones like this gaming chair she's sitting in that we're obviously not going to put in the car or bring, through Canada to Michigan with us and back. So we celebrate before we go. So this is her at home on the morning of the 21st before we left the next day. So in the morning, she opened presents and had like a mini Christmas at our house. And then the next day we left for Michigan and she got to open presents again on Christmas Day. So once I trim out the photo to be outside the page protector, I decide that the way I'm going to embellish it is with my kind of go-to favorite way to do a little cluster and journaling on a tag. So I pulled this green tag from the tags and then a word phrase strip that says, this is the best view right here, because it's like just the best picture of Nora, I think. She looks so happy. And then I trimmed down a word that says joys, because it did say December joys and it was from last year, but the colors worked perfectly for this photo. And then I decided to pull in some of these wood veneer stars at the very end, you'll see. So I'm going to create a tag cluster, but that's one of the last things I do. Sometimes I work backwards depending on what design elements I want to include. And I knew I wanted to have a present. So before I filmed this process video, I tried for the life of me to create a pull up feature where you pull up on the top part of the present and then you reveal like the inside of all the pictures of what she got. But then I decided I wanted to use ephemera. So I had her keep all of her ephemera from, well, not all, but as much as I could have her remember to keep from the presents she got in her stocking and under the tree and, all that kind of stuff. And so I kept the tags and the packaging, and you'll see that in a minute. Because I ended up going with the present. I remembered that Ty from Moments to Memories by Ty taught a lesson in prep day. It was the fold out lesson. So this is totally her formula here. So I followed the lesson to a T for her formula, which was basically just to take 4.25 by 5.25 pieces of paper, just copy paper, and at the inch mark, score the papers, and they are going to act as flaps to go underneath the center photo, which is this one I have of Nora. And then the other flaps will fold out around it, and you'll see that in a second. So I printed out the photo of her at 4.25 by 4.25, and then I cut out this piece of Merry Christmas pattern paper to be 4.25 as well, and adhered that to the copy paper, which is already pre-cut and scored. Like I said, it was 4.25 by 5.25, scored at the inch mark, and then they're just going to flip open and kind of be like a present burst. And this was, like I said, 100% her idea, her lesson. So thank you, Ty, for this amazing lesson that you taught. And so the challenge for me will be basically completing the puzzle of putting the ephemera down on all of these flaps and trying to get it to shut. It's going to be tricky because obviously adding bulk to the copy paper is going to make it so that the flaps don't close perfectly in on each other like they do right now. So that does get a little tricky, but I think in the end it came out pretty good. So I'm just going to put some music on and you're going to see me just go through all of these different tags and cardboard cutouts and packaging and things like that I have trimmed down to kind of fit like a puzzle, like Tetris kind of, on these open flaps that are the computer paper. So hopefully you saw what I was doing, basically just like fitting tags and things in here and there. And then where there was some negative or empty, awkward space where I felt like the copy paper would be too flimsy, I added just some reinforcement with that leftover bokeh pattern paper from last year's kit. And you can see I'm periodically using my bone folder to go over the edges and make sure that the flaps are as crisp as they can be. And I say that lightly because obviously you can see there's lots of layers of packaging on top of the copy paper already. So it didn't flip and fold and close perfectly, but I think it turned out pretty cute. I really love the concept, and even though I couldn't achieve my initial idea, which was to have an openable present like slide up, I think this worked out better because I don't think there was any way I would have been able to fit all of the ephemera on a slide up present. This way I had all these extra flaps and I could decorate both the top and the underside of the flap with the ephemera. So it worked out really well. The one of the things I do is just add a little bit of journaling to the photo. I wrote that this was one of your favorite gifts since you're obsessed with skincare and makeup, even though you need none of it. And then I also did journal on the top flap above the Mariah Elizabeth tag, right on the bokeh paper. I wrote, I kept ephemera from your gifts as a fun way to remember. And just so that, obviously that's what these are, but just in case someone's looking at it at some point and is like, what is this? I just think this is a fun alternative to photos of the presents. Last year, I think I did photos of her gifts, and then I also did her stocking, which I loved the way that one turned out. That video is up on this playlist as well. I made a stocking and I stitched the front with a transparency so you could see inside of it, and then I printed out photos of everything she got in the stocking on a miniature scale and put those inside the stocking itself. So you can open the stocking and take all the little gifts out, which I thought was really fun and clever. So the last thing I think I'm going to do is add notches on each of these flaps so that there's something to kind of grab onto as you're opening each of the little sections of the present. And then on the top of the present, you can see I'm going to put a bow to make it look like a gift, and again taken from Ty's lesson in prep day. So I am going to use the pink velvet ribbon that was available as an add-on. Oh, and I guess before I do that, I'm going to add the closure. So I just have these Velcro dots from like Dollar Tree, and I'm going to, I don't know, I find it easier to attach them to each other first. See, I'm going to put the fronts and the backs together, then cut it in half because I don't need the full circle. I'm going to use half of the circle on the left and then half of the circle on the right of this notch, the top flap, and press down and then pull up, and they should be exactly where you need them to be. So that's just a little tip there. So anyhow, yeah, I'm going to use the velvet trim. That was an add-on. Thought I was going to use this Tim Holtz ribbon. I go through a bunch of different trims, and I decided to do this light pink one, which I think matches really well. I kind of wanted to bring out the pink, obviously, on the left side of this story, which is her chair. Her gaming chair is like, very pink. And then that is why I chose these word phrases, the love this tradition, and cutting down the December joys to just have joys on the tag cluster on the left. The colors work really well, and so I wanted to pick one of the colors that was in these word phrase die cuts to be the velvet ribbon accent. So I just used my score tape to adhere that to the front of the quote-unquote present there, and then tied a bow by making just 2 bunny ears and then adjusting it as needed, trimming off the tails, and then I'm going to glue or tape down the Love This Tradition, and that's when I decide, okay, it needs a little, like one more embellishment, one more thing. And I'm like, what am I going to put the number on to reflect that this is also part of story 19? Oh, Norah's saying hi. You can see her little hands there. And I decide to do a red star. I switch them out about a million times. You're going to see me like audition the stars in different spots and like all over the place. But I settle on, eventually, felt like 10 hours later, a big red wood veneer star in the bottom left corner, and that's what I am gluing the gold 19 puffy numbers to. And then a green, tiny green veneer star That's going to go on the tag cluster on the top right side of the big photo. And then to carry the wood veneer to the right side, I'm going to take a little tiny white star, but then make it pink by using one of my Posca paint pens. And it's not the perfect match, like shade-wise and everything, but I think it achieved what I wanted. I felt like the white got washed out. The red was too stark, and the green wasn't quite the shade I was hoping for. So I decided to color one of the wood veneer stars with a Posca pen. Now, if I used like acrylic paint, I think I would have been able to get a better color match, but at this point in the game, I'd been working on this for quite a while since the story is actually spread out over 3 pages. So I was just looking for a more simple solution. So I'll just let the music play and you guys can see me auditioning out all different things as I'm trying to decide on the last embellishment for this tag cluster, which is when I settle on the wood stars, and you can just see me put the page together. So you're going to see that I used an eyelet tool there to create a little spot for the tag to slide out and hang from behind the photo. And I just used some pink baker's twine to create that. And then of course the eyelet, I'm going to take some Scotch tape and just tape it down in the back so that it doesn't cut through the photo or the other side of the page. And that's going to allow the cluster to kind of sit without pulling on the photo paper. And then I'm just going to adhere the wood veneer star with my score tape and do that for the star on the right side as well. Once the tag is where I want it and that's all complete, and then I used my glue pen to add some extra adhesive to the backs of those puffy gold numbers so they would stay, because the wood veneer is very slippery. It's not very porous or easy to, I think like it has like a finish on it, right? So adhesive will, just a sticker will just pop right off it. So I used the glue pen there for a little bit of extra reinforcement. And then I'm using some double-sided tape and I will finally put the back side of story 19 to the front side of story 19, trim off where it doesn't measure up quite right on the top, and we are just about finished. So I'm going to show you the whole story, close-ups of the spreads I completed and the whole story in real time. And then I think that's going to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this process video. Let me know if you have questions. Again, I apologize that the first part of the story never got recorded. So yeah, definitely feel free to ask questions about that as well. And thank you so much for spending some time with me. Please do me a favor and like this video if you did, subscribe if you're not, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, friends. Remember that you are enough. Bye.